Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, as we bring this year's IMEC conference to a close, let me start by simply saying thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you particularly for those that have actually stayed the extra hour. Thank you to our speakers, to our panelists, and to all of you for the quality and the honesty, most importantly, the honesty of today's discussions in a year that has needed a lot of honesty, to be honest. What has come through very clearly today is that we are operating in a very different environment from even a year ago. Shipping is no longer just navigating markets. It's navigating geopolitics, uncertainty, and increasingly constrained trade routes. We've heard global trade flows are being reshaped, how access to key routes is no longer guaranteed, and how decisions that used to be purely commercial now carry political weight. And yet, despite all of this, shipping continues to move. That is something we should not take for granted. What we're seeing is not temporary disruption, it is a shift in how our industry operates. The sector is learning to function with constraints, adapting in real time to a more complex and less predictable world. What has also stood out today is the breadth of insight coming from across our ecosystem. From engine manufacturers, we've heard how technology is evolving to meet new regulatory and operational realities, often at speed and often under significant pressure. From legislators, we have seen the direction of travel in terms of compliance, decarbonization, and accountability, setting the framework within which we will now all need to operate. And from seafarers directly, or indirectly, in fact, through some of the contributions from our friends from the unions, we are reminded that lived reality of the sea, the point where policy, technology, and commercial decisions ultimately converge. Because every change we discuss, every adjustment, every new requirement lands on a ship and on the people on board it. Seafarers are the ones carrying this uncertainty day in and day out. They're working in an environment where routes change, risks evolve, and expectations remain high. That is why we do the work we do. Through IMEC and through our agreements, and that matters. It matters to a lot of people. Our role is not to remove uncertainty. None of us can. None of us can do that. But what we can do is provide stability where it is needed most. We can provide clarity in terms of conditions, we can provide consistency through our collective bargaining agreements, and we can provide a framework that allows our members and our seafarers to operate with confidence, even when the world around them is anything but stable. Another strong message from today has been the importance of partnership. In this environment, no one operates in isolation. Certainly no one succeeds in isolation. Employers, unions, governments, manufacturers, legislators, seafarers, we're all part of the same system. Fragmentation increases risk. Collaboration is what keeps the industry functioning. IMEC has always believed in partnerships and the partnership approach that it fosters day in and day out. Looking ahead, one of the most important areas where that collaboration will need to be deeper, it is in how we think about manpower. This conference has begun to explore new frontiers when it comes to seafarer supply, and in particular, the growing potential of Africa. There's a clear opportunity here, a young workforce, and an expanding workforce. Increasing engagement from government and training institutions, as we saw from those presentations this afternoon. But opportunity alone is not enough. Realizing this potential will require investments, standards, and long-term commitment. From employers, from training providers, and from organizations like us, like IMEC, working in partnerships with unions and governments. If we approach these in the right way, Africa can become an important and sustainable part of the global seafarers' supply chain, not as a short-term solution, but as a strategically developed workforce for the future. As for the outlook, more generally, there is no shortage of uncertainty, unfortunately. There are more optimistic scenarios, and we all hope for them, but there's also a growing recognition that we may be facing a prolonged period of volatility. But if there's one thing this industry has demonstrated time and again, it is its ability to adapt. Shipping does not stop, it adapts, it evolves, it delivers. And the responsibility we all carry around this room and beyond is simple but important: to ensure that whatever the pressures, we continue to provide the structure, the partnership, and the leadership that keeps global trade moving safely and sustainably. Because in the end, it's not just about navigating uncertainty. It's about shaping how our industry operates within such uncertainty. Let me also take a moment before we close to recognize something that often sits behind the scenes but makes a very visible difference. This conference does not come together by accident. It takes an enormous amount of coordination, effort, and commitment. I want to thank my IMEC team, many of whom have stepped well outside their usual roles and core expertise to make this happen. Organizing an event of this scale is not what they do day to day, and yet they have done it with professionalism, flexibility, and real sense of ownership. That willingness to step up, to adapt, and to deliver beyond expectations is something I'm extremely proud of, and I am sure all of you have seen the results over the past couple of days, particularly for those of you that attended our AGM yesterday. So to them, thank you. And I wanted to join the race for the best quote, so I've got one. Calm seas never made a skilled sailor, but it is how we navigate the rough ones that defines us. Let's continue to navigate them together. Thank you, and safe voyages to all.